Hi, and welcome to Mike's Guitar Workshop, where you can win wonderful prizes. No, there's no prizes here. The only prize here is knowing that you too can do exactly what I do with just some very basic tools and taking a bit of care. So join me on my journey and yeah, let's get cracking. This is kind of a bit of a special one. I've had this guitar here for a while, and it's a 72 Ibanez Les Paul. I keep working on it and I forget to film. So I thought, let me just at least get this down. So if you see change of clothing and stuff, don't stress. It's because I keep filming this in bits and pieces. But the idea here is it's going to get a Bigsby trem and some very special pickups, some nice tuners. So we have to close up all the holes here, probably enlarge, because the tuner holes are in fact opposing, so none of these holes will fit. I had started working on this already, but I didn't have the workshop yet, so we're at the stage where I've removed the frets, and in fact I just went to the hardware store and I got these end nippers, and what I did was I just ground the top flat, completely flat, so they make perfect grabbing tools to grab out the frets, and there's no damage on the board whatsoever. I've already sanded the board, just waiting for the frets, so we will film putting the frets in, recrowning, all that sort of stuff. What we're going to do here is, it's going black, gloss black. The whole guitar is going gloss black, so we have to keep the binding as is. Got some scratches, a couple of nice dents, particularly over here, so we have to very carefully work around here and try and preserving the patina of the binding. So what I decided to do here is, instead of spraying spray filler on the whole thing, I'm actually drop filling with super glue and using my little blade with a piece of tape here, just scraping that back, then giving it a light sand, and then the dents completely disappear. So that way I'm not adding any paint to the job at all, and I could literally just do some local black repair, give it a clear coat. So I've done the front already. The front is done in respect to filling up the holes. There are still some at the back here, so I'm going to show you how that is done, which is a good technique actually for some other projects. There's some quite big dents and scratches here, so let me show you how we do that. So with a bit of luck, you can see I've got the lights on the opposite side there, so that I can see where the dents are. So I'm literally going to just drop in some super glue into the big ones, and then we will scrape them down later. There's a huge one here, big line over here, which we're going to just fill up. Hole there, hole there. I don't think that these will come out easily with just sanding, so we are going to just literally fill them with super glue, and then we will scrape them back later. So here's some very big dents here, which I really want to fill, so I'm going to just, I might have to come back and do this 2 or 3 times. Super glue dries very hard, so when it's hard we will come back and I will show you how we scrape that out. The technique here is, take a blade, you put some tape on either side and you leave a little gap. And the theory is that won't affect the finish. It'll only start scraping where the high parts are. So just bring the blade at an angle so you can scrape this way. And you'll see that I'm not touching the sides at all. I'm only scraping where the glue is. And when you've stopped, when there's nothing more coming off, then you can move on to the next step. So I'm just rotating the blade that way to scrape that way. If you have it flat, it could start chattering and you could damage your efforts. I want to see how far we can get. I'm actually wondering if we shouldn't just buff this instead of painting it, because the underlying paint is actually in fairly good condition now. So I'm going to definitely give that a go, but first I want to just have a look to see where we are. I see a lot of people, they sand like this. That is completely wrong, because you're going to create grooves in your paint, and when you clear it over the top of it, you are going to see those waves. The best is to use a block, a wooden block like this. It's fine, and circular motion like that. On more curved surfaces you can use a rubber block like that. So let's just see how we go, and I'll have a look at it in a second. This is some 400 that I'm using here. Remember, I've drop filled this with super glue, so we are looking to see if we can get away with just buffing this by going through the grits. I can still see that little line there, so let me concentrate a little bit here. You see, I'm not doing this. You can, it's fine, but I prefer the circular motion like that. Putting a fair bit of pressure on there, and that line is as good as gone. I will give you a close-up in a few minutes. I can see circular swirl marks here, but we'll get that out of with the next grit. So yeah, I'll see you in a few minutes. Let me get this sanded. Right guys, just did a quick test. I just polished the surface with my polisher, and I think we can get away with it. It's very difficult to show you, but black is the most difficult color to get absolutely spotless. But I think we're onto a winner here. So I've used no paint. There are still a few little marks here which I'm going to drop fill with some super glue. Just those, just to get that level right. And for the rest, I'm going to try and bring the camera in just to show you. Well, I'm just using my drilling machine and a sponge at this point. And the rotation of the polishing pad is towards the binding, so there's no chance of me gripping the binding I've also locked the guitar down on this makeshift little clamp here that you see, so it won't move, and it's just a matter of going slowly but surely until the shine starts appearing. So after the machine, I'm just hand polishing with a bit of wax, just to get the final swirls out. And I think, yeah, I think that's going to be just about good enough there. So after a bit of effort, I think we're good to go on that particular one. The front is nice, it's quite acceptable. The back is just as nice. We got most of the dings and scratches out, and I'm now going to start working on the sides, especially this big ding here. And I don't really want to be using any primer, so I'm going to drop fill all of these little holes and just dust a bit of black on, some clear coat, and we should be good to go. Drop filling this huge hole will take a few attempts. Don't put the glue on too thick because it won't dry so nicely. Just put thin layers on, come back, build it up over time, and then you'll have a rock hard surface to work from. So after a bit of scraping, I'm just coming in with a block, and I'm trying to stay away as much as possible from the binding so that I don't damage that at all. And I also put glue on the binding because there was a tiny little dent there, so we're just working our way through. After all the sanding is done, I'm coming in with a Scotch-Brite to get into the tiny little crevices because I want good adhesion of the black. I'm not putting any primer on because I'll be masking up the binding, and we want good adhesion of the black paint. For the sides of this guitar, I'm just going to use a rattle can. It's nitrocellulose based, so it should be good. I'm just coming in with a very dry coat just to get some adhesion going. After which I'll be putting on 2 or 3 full coats to get full coverage. Right guys, I think that's about it. Came out pretty good. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in part 2 when we'll be handling the neck.